ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Sports betting isn't a gut call. It's a market with prices that move. WagerBird shows you what to bet, when to bet it, and how the line is changing live. Every pick is time-stamped. Every result is tracked. Start betting like an analyst with WagerBird.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and welcome to the Friday edition of the Midday Market Report, the MLB Friday Night Bright Lights edition. Currently 88 degrees on Cape Cod. We're in the middle of another heat wave, and I would say the humidity here is second to none, but it's not as hot as our Red Sox. The game of the year yesterday, down 4-5-0, down 2-3 runs, battled back in the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, and then it was funny. Our good friend Mr. Kenny Magnet texted me back and forth there late last night as the winning runs up on the base pass, and the Durbinator looks and says, Scotty's favorite player, Jemani Jones on deck. Here, hold my beer. Let me wrap this one up because we know what Jemani will do. But another win for the Red Sox, now just a half game behind the Yankees. As what is it, 30-5, 31-5? I'm having flashbacks. As Scotty will remember, in 1984, the Detroit Tigers started the year 35-5. I lost so much money during that 40-game stretch. Oh my God, was I stupid back then? And went on to win the World Series. But first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships, this WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. Travis, Zach, Guy, myself, Amber, Holly, Carol, Bucks, Matthew, Allen, Drew, Jacob. The list is endless. Download the app. Jump on over to X. Follow them and join our community at wagerwire.com. And while you're there, of course, head on over to wagerwire.com/marketplace. A lot of good, interesting investment opportunities for tickets on sale there. And then, of course, wagerbird.com. Blaine Davis, set your dial every Wednesday, 10:05. Brings the financial, the New York Stock Exchange, Wall Street, to sports investing and betting. So head on over to wagerbird.com. Sign up today, purchase some points, birds, gems. Any questions that you might have, send an email to info@wagerbird.com. So without further ado, let's bring him in, Mr. Scotty Webb. What's up, champ?
Just cleaning my glasses. Have to make sure I can see straight.
And, I don't want to beat a dead horse because, a couple months ago, the season was over, 14 games under 500. The Yankees were coming to town, and to put, to sing taps, to put the nail in the coffin as we got ready to trade Chapman, Gray, and maybe Contreras. Speed up to August 7th, and 8 in a row again. A run second to none. I mean, this puts Morgan's Magic to shame, what this team is doing. Read today, heard today, Crochet throwing 50, 60 feet. And if he comes back, big if, it'll be too late to stretch him out. So therefore, we'll add him to the bullpen. Um, our catcher Adley Rushman getting ready to go on an assignment. Tristan Cass is done for the year, but Anthony Roman Anthony now swinging. Not that he's coming back today, tomorrow, and next week, but three big pieces that could be added to this run. That last night was just. I don't even know how to describe last night's game, Scotty.
Well, baseball's an interesting sport. Stuff happens all the time. And momentum is a good thing. It helps these guys. And what's cool about the Red Sox right now is I don't think they're really playing into all that. They just go out there and do their thing, and if they win, they win. If they lose, they lose. But they're playing so well that they expect to win and they fight. Yeah, and when you have fight, you're going to win some games that maybe you shouldn't, and it doesn't matter if you're behind or were ahead and came back, and what it doesn't matter. So it's all good. It's fun to watch, stuff like that. It's an interesting thing. Like I'm looking at their, in July they were 21-4, and in August they're 5-0. So what does that make them? 26-4 in the last 30 games. Well, teams don't do that. So it's but they do. It's I saw another thing, I say this every year, but every single team goes through, hey, highs and lows. Every single one. Like the Dodgers have lost six in a row, Well, who would have thought the Dodgers would lose six in a row? Well, every team does. What's different is that, the good teams, they don't do that more than once, or maybe they win or they lose six in a row, and then they maybe lose three at some point in time, and that's it. Like they don't do that over and over. The bad teams do that a lot. They're just bad. So I think it's just interesting how stuff happens. Now, having said all those good things, and I think it's fun to watch and see how the Red Sox are really moving up and solidifying their spots, and with reinforcements on the way. The reality becomes is it's baseball, man. Like they could go out there today and totally could be like, I just don't have it today, and then you sit there and go, how can they lose to the A's at minus 300 or whatever it is, and well, it happens. Baseball's that way, and so I always try to have perspective, in a sense of don't get too high, don't get too low, but obviously enjoy the run, because you don't these things, especially one like this, it ain't gonna happen this ain't gonna happen next year. You know what I mean? Like this might not happen again for 20 more years.
And if it wasn't for this Red Sox run, let's bring three teams to the forefront here: the Astros, the Tigers, and the Reds. Give me your thoughts on those three teams.
Well, I've been saying all along that I think the Detroit Tigers are the best team in the American League Central. I think the Detroit Tigers are either going to win the Central or they're going to make the playoffs. One way or another, they're going to find a way in. The problem that you run into with the White Sox and the problem you run into with the Guardians, they just don't have enough. They have stuff, they just don't have enough for 162 games. And I think Detroit will. They're gonna. I mean, what's happened in Detroit, so everybody kind of has a better idea. Javier Baez is back. There was another player that came back too. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they've got their offenses all back. Their players are playing again now. Obviously they got rid of Scooble and they got rid of Mize, so they're gonna have to figure out the pitching rotation. But Melton's been an ace for them. So I mean, he's been as good as it gets. And Kiter Montero, who's pitching today, has been as good as it gets for them too. So they've got pitchers. I don't think they're going to get much help in that area from guys that are hurt coming back. I think Job is supposed to pitch in the next week, within the next 7 days, and he's a young fireballer that his arm fell off and had to have Tommy John put it back together. So we'll see what that looks like when he comes back. So we'll see. But I think Detroit's good. I think Detroit's going to be just fine. Now the Astros are a strange group because because they're getting some pitching help back. Blanco's pitching today. Wisniewski's been pitching. Josh Hader, since he's come back, has really solidified that bullpen. Um, Brown is sort of getting back to his normal Brown self. I shouldn't say it 100% because he's still hit or miss. But I still think they got pitching issues, and I still think they got, the three or four guys at the top of the order, and then nobody else. The bottom of that order is nothing. So I'm concerned about Houston being able to. I mean, they don't have to pass much. I mean, the Rangers aren't doing anything. They were trying to trade their best pitcher, and then he comes up and says, "Hey, no, I'm not, DeGrom, right?" He shuts that deal down. So then you got Evaldi and Gore just can't get it going over there. He pitches well. He just can't. It's not that he's unlucky. He's just bad in certain spots, and then blows up, and then you can't win. So that's not a good spot for them. I've been a little more surprised that their offense has been decent, comparative. Those four guys for Houston have driven their offense up, and the offense for Texas is kind of still staying about the same. So they're about even that way. So then you have Seattle. Seattle's the best team, but at the same time that they're the best team, they can't put it all together. And I can't put my chips in on Seattle because I just don't know what to do with them. So can Houston get in? I think they probably can. I like Detroit better than I like Houston, but I like both of those teams way better than I like Cincinnati. Cincinnati's too far out. They're now I say that, but all these wild card spots are all open, but they got to do a lot, and it's too bad for them that Hunter Green is now probably not going to pitch the rest of the season. And depending upon what's wrong with his arm, he might not pitch next year because they might have to do another, some sort of bad thing in terms of surgeries on him. So, that's a problem for Cincinnati. All these teams are going to have their little spikes and valleys. And, maybe Cincinnati's hitting their spikes now. But and that's good. When I spoke, about a week ago, I talked about, hey, look, you got to be real careful on betting on these teams that don't have anything to play for, and Cincinnati's kind of in that role. But if they keep winning, you bet on teams that are streaking, so that throws them in the mix to a team that you can bet on. Not sure exactly how to view them today, because I don't necessarily know who's pitching for them today. Chase Petty's what I have, but I don't know if that's the right. I don't know if that's the right spot. Chase Petty's no good, so you can't go out there and say, hey, bet Cincinnati today. And their offense is so hit or miss. Like I think De La Cruz is good. He's played pretty well. But it seems to me that team wins and does better when Sal Stewart's hitting. And he hasn't been hitting for quite a while, and now he's starting to hit a little bit. And he's leading their team, and they're leading their offense. So him, pulling that train along, I think has helped them overcome some of the runs. Like, it's amazing sometimes you see some of these offenses, and they're doing pretty well, but they can't score. And we talk about it a lot where you need RBI guys. De La Cruz is the on base guy. He'll hit home runs and stuff. He'll steal bases, but he's expected to have Sal Stewart drive him in. Well, if Sal Stewart's hitting and driving him in, then they're scoring, and that's a whole different process than kind of what they've been going through. So the other issue is they just don't have enough pitching. And in the National League, there's pitching. So see how that looks. I thought Dylan Cease pretty much sealed the deal for him. I think he's going to be the American League Cy Young guy. I mean, I don't think there's even going to be a competitive situation for that. He's by far and away, numbers statistically wise and stuff. He's out there, and good for him because he's pitched well in a lot of spots before, and it's interesting how that kind of works out for him. He's not going to have to face the Phillies, but it's interesting.
Last but not least, before we get into the full schedule tonight, another team that I forgot to add to that list that just when they're like a skin tag. They just when you wave the white flag, they said not so fast. What's your thoughts? What the hell's going on with the Padres?
Well, I like what they did at the break, or not the break, but at the deadline. I mean, they brought in two pitchers that they need. I mean, they can't. You're not going to win when you keep starting. Marquez and Randy Vasquez and Griffin, whatever his name is, Canning, and all. You can't win that way. So when you bring in Casey Mize and now you bring in Robbie Ray, at least you got guys that are going to throw 8 innings or 7 innings or 6 innings. They're going to at least be competitive. I was not happy that I went and said, "Oh, they got a pitcher now. Let's see what Mize can do," and I bet on him, and then he goes out and gives up 8 runs. So that's not good. So we'll see what it looks like for them tonight. They're an offensive team that's very streaky, and the truth be told is Machado's still not really carrying that offense. It's really been Jackson Merrill started to hit. So we'll see what it looks like going forward. Machado was hitting like 170. He's hitting a little over 200 now, so he's gotten it up a little bit. But you can say what you want to. He still leads the team in RBIs and he still leads the team in home runs. So he's doing, quote, his part, if you want to call it that. But their bullpen's been dynamite again. They kind of go off and on. I think what happens is those guys get so taxed because Griffin Canning can go 4 innings or 5 innings, and Marquez goes 2 innings or whatever, and Randy Vasquez gets blasted and he's out. So those guys got to come in and stretch out the game. So they've been using Kyle Hart and other guys to kind of come in and stretch the games out. Well, they don't have that anymore. I think their bullpen will only get stronger because they're not going to be in a position where they use them so much. And your Morahones and guys like that are going to Peraltas and stuff that are going to come out. They're going to be a lot stronger and better. So I think they're in a position to at least compete for a wild card spot. The truth is that they're going to battle with a couple of teams there with Pittsburgh and the Diamondbacks, and those teams are trying to get in, and they're going to have to fight with all those teams to make it because the Braves are in. I mean, whether and the Phillies, they're in. So it don't matter. Those two teams, they're in, and the Brewers and the Cubs, they're in. So when it comes to the last remaining spot, it's going to be the Dodgers and whoever else is going to make it. And right now, it's kind of a hard thought. And I was looking at, let me pull it up. It's right here. I was looking at some of this stuff, and I'm looking at remaining schedule strength right this second. And like if you go San Diego Padres have the 11th hardest schedule left. Well, that's not very good to sit there and try and go, okay, well, we're going to make a big run and we're going to beat all these teams. The Diamondbacks, for example, where is Arizona? They're 12th on that list, and Pittsburgh is 13th, so they're all right there. And what's interesting is, San Diego has 3 games left with the Padres and the Diamondbacks. So that's what they're doing now, right? They're playing each other. Arizona's playing the Dodgers, and then you have Arizona still has 3 against the Dodgers. San Diego has 3 against the Dodgers. Pittsburgh still has 3 against Milwaukee, but it also kind of depends on when some of those games are. Like Milwaukee's going to lock stuff up here soon, and I don't know if do they really care if they're first or second. Maybe if they're first and they have the best record in the National League, they get all the games at home, even if it's the Dodgers who are second and they end up playing each other. They get the home field advantage that way. but I don't know if it really matters to them that hard. I don't know where it's going to shake out that way. I know the Dodgers don't really. They're not out there trying to win 120 games. They're just trying to position themselves and get Blake Snell back and get Glass now and there, figure out what the hell's going on with their offense, and then all of a sudden be the Dodgers again. Um, so I think as this shakes out and kind of see where we go, there's a few teams in the National League you got to watch. Obviously, the Diamondbacks and the Padres. I think it says Timmy says hello friends. Fat chance my Yankees get a win against Atlanta, huh? Well, look, the one thing I will say about that series, and I would almost tell you every single pitching matchup in that series. Fried goes tonight, Garrett Cole goes tomorrow, and then Schlittler goes on Sunday. That they have the better pitchers in every one of those matchups. Problem is, they still don't hit. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with how that turnaround happens, and I think at the end of this month, maybe the first part of September, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be the end of this month. You'll see Judge back, and I think you're going to see Bellinger back probably within 10 days. So Bellinger's going to be back. He's already taken batting practice. And I don't know what's going on with Stanton, but he's running now. So maybe he comes back. When you can add those guys to the lineup, you're going to end up getting better at bats, and you're not going to. I mean, they're still going to strike out and stuff. Hey, look, there's Jason Berry. Haven't seen Jason for a while. So anyway, I think it's one of those spots where I like the matchups for the Yankees, but they got to figure a couple things out. One, they've been playing terrible at home. They haven't been scoring any runs. They haven't been doing anything at home, and they've been losing a lot of games at home. I don't get it. So that's been a problem. Hey, look, there's a new one. It's a Buck Skull gang in the house. Boston might heat team now. Well, look, ain't no question. Boston's the cream of the crop. It says A's and Rays fan, Yankee coming. Look, as Rays and Fans fan, I got it. Look, I'm just going to tell you, Boston is making a run. I mean, we talked about 26-4 or whatever it was since July 1st. I mean, it's an amazing number. And here's what I like about what Boston's doing. A couple of things. A, they've had great starting pitching most of the season, and it's still good. So they haven't had a problem with starting pitching. So at the beginning and in the first couple of months, and even through into June, at some point in June, it kind of changed a little bit towards the tail end of June. Their offense wasn't very good, but now their offense is over the last little bit here. Offense, go there. Offense, Boston. Boston's number 2 in offense, number 1 in isolated power. You know that the Boston Red Sox have hit 12 home runs in the last 5 games. Like, okay, that's pretty good. You hit 12 home runs in 5 games. That's pretty good. And then what's carried through for them the entire season, and I didn't know this, their bullpen has been dynamite, like dynamite. It's not necessarily the best bullpen in the game, but it's like top 3. It's that good. So you sit there and you go, well, how do you beat them? Well, it's pretty hard to beat them when their offense is in the top 2, their starting pitching is in the top of the 5, then their bullpen's in the top 3. That tells you a lot about what's going on in Boston. And when you catch fire and now you're going to play the A's. Well, shit, you can beat the shit out of the A's. Well, of course, they just played the A's, and I was surprised when I went back and looked at that series. because I was thinking about betting TOLLE today minus 1.5. I didn't do it, but thinking about it, and when I was looking at that, they actually lost the game to the Rays to the A's. They were 2-1 out there, and I was like, okay, well, maybe not. So I was like, I'll just stay off of that game. Whatever. So it is what it is. So what is he saying? We're talking about A's, Rays, Yankees fan. Yankees could face the Rays in round one. Well, Yankees could face Boston, and it depends on what the Rays do. Right? You still so the way this kind of works is, everybody in Boston wants to catch the Yankees, and that's great. Yeah, but you still got to beat the Rays. You still got to catch them. And I'm not saying that you can't. I'm just saying you still got to go catch the Rays after you catch the Yankees. You're a half game behind the Yankees, so it's very possible that this weekend you'll pass the Yankees because they got a tougher series with the Braves than you guys have with the A's. So we'll see what that looks like when it comes out. And the Rays are in a tougher series this weekend too with Seattle, but I don't know how tough. I can't sit here and tell you that Seattle's this great tough series because they can't score, and everybody talks about how great their pitching is, but one of their best pitchers is pitching tonight, and he's not as good as the pitcher for the Rays. So Logan Gilbert's pitching against Rasmussen. So I don't, like there's a lot to be said of what's going on in Seattle. I think the manager was great last year coming in and replaced the junky manager that was in there before. He's a former player. He's a catcher. So he's supposed to be smart and know all this stuff. I don't think he's been pulling the right triggers. He's had Cal Raleigh blocking up the whole lineup all season long. I don't, they got Edgar Martinez, I think, is still their batting coach, and they brought him in last year to fix the offense. Well, the offense still isn't fixed. They think it's okay that Julio Rodriguez doesn't hit for the first couple months. He's going to turn it on in the middle of the season like he always does. Okay, he's not. So there's an issue in Seattle. I don't know exactly what it is. They were trying to trade Randy Arozarena at the deadline, and I'm like, he's been their best player. Now, I mean, I don't care. I mean, whatever. They do what you want to do, but when you trade your best player, you better get something back. They did what they did that was great at the break. They got rid of their anchor that is a salary problem in Castillo. And they got the White Sox to take all of that salary off their plate. So now they got money. They can go do more stuff. But obviously it's over now. But until whatever happens for next year, because who knows what's going to happen next year. But point being is we're not into next year. We're still trying to finish out this season, and there's some fun stuff ahead. Like I swear, like the Minnesota Twins are still in it. And people don't talk about them. I'm not going to talk about them either because I don't really think they're that into it. Joe Ryan's hurt too, by the way. I don't know if he's going to pitch the rest of the season.
Great turnout again already here, guys. I want to give our shout out to PB, of course, Kenny Magner, Timothy, Jason Berry back. Great to see you. Buck's Skull Gang House. Welcome to the family here. Full slate, Scotty. I'm going to do what we always do here. I'm going to bring you to the forefront. Today's headline, Big TOLLE, Sox minus 269 tonight against the A's. Tough to get in there. And I will tell you guys this. Friday's MLB, Friday Night Lights, strange things do happen. It's not a coincidence that it's payday for 99% of the people in the world. And I always talk about the pizza guy. And for all the newbies here that don't know what the pizza guy is, I'll give you the quick story, then I'm going to bring Scotty to the forefront. The pizza guy is someone that gets paid on Friday and is supposed to go home to the wife, to the girlfriend, and have a nice dinner, relax, and either watch Netflix or do what you do. But he picks up the phone and says, "Hey, hon, I'm going to go pick up a couple pizzas. I don't want you to cook tonight. I'll be home with dinner. And instead of going to the pizza shop, he stops at the casino or the sports book and bangs out a few of the 7 o'clock games. Doesn't go home and pay the cable bill, the rent, the mortgage, and the other bills, but goes to get the pizza and play some early games. Well, it's 9 o'clock, not doing well. I'm going to hit a couple West Coast games and hope to get my money back that I just lost on the 7 o'clock games. And then the wife calls at around 10:15. Hey, babe, where are you? Where's the pizza? I'm starving. Ah, I'm on my way. I caught up with a couple buddies on my way. Well, you get home at 11:30. You lost your paycheck. The pizza's cold, and then there's the pillow and the blanket for the couch because you pissed away your rent money, your mortgage money, your bill money, no Netflix, and no big bed for the night. So be careful on Friday. So, Scotty, it's all yours.
All right, so we got to dabble into these things, and we got to be on the right sides. And I was talking about a lot of this stuff is good to start looking for underdogs. So here's a couple of thoughts. Okay, so underdog thoughts. I like the Mets as an underdog today. I didn't bet it myself yet, but I don't mind it. I think the Mets are a pretty good underdog, and that's the first game of the night, right? In terms of time, that's where we're at. So this is Thornton against Mlodzinski. Now, Mlodzinski's been let's say it this way: he was a starting pitcher until Jones came back, and then Jones came back, so they put him into the long relief role, relief guy. So that's what he's been doing. He's pitching fine. I mean, he still throws 98 miles an hour, like all these Pirates pitchers, except for Keller throw hard, and now Keller's hurt, so that's why Mlodzinski's pitching. So anyway, all that being said, he still throws pretty well, but he's not really stretched out. So what you're going to run into with the Pirates is he's probably going to be able to go. I'm going to guess anywhere from 3, maybe. I'm sure he can go 3. He might be able to go 4, and if everything goes perfect, he would go 5 innings. I don't think he's going to get to 5. So I think he's going to go 3 or 4 innings, and then you're going to have a bullpen day. And the Pirates bullpen's been pretty decent as of late, so that's not been their issue. And then you have Thornton on the other side, and Thornton is a left-handed pitcher. He's not he doesn't go out there and throw 98 to 100 miles an hour. He's a guy that gets you out. And what's interesting is, his strikeout rate's only 15%, so it's in the net, it's in the red, and they're going to put balls in play for the Pirates. Well, I don't know if that's necessary. Well, obviously it's a good thing, but the way the Pirates have been hitting, they're like one of the worst offenses in baseball, and or right now, for the season there was one of the better ones, but right now they're not hitting at all. That's kind of an issue, right? So you go look at the hitters and the batters, and there's 30 teams in Major League Baseball. The Pirates rank 30th in offense, and they rank 30th in isolated power. So isolated power, we're talking about extra bases, so doubles and triples and home runs. That's not very good. So that's where I think the Mets are able to sort of change the game a little bit, because Mlodzinski's not necessarily a big advantage on the mound. He might be a small advantage over Thornton, but not a big one. Where the big advantage is, you have the Mets ranked 7th in offense, 3rd in isolated power, 124 weighted runs created plus, so they're 24% better than an average offense, 6 runs better than an average offense. Over the last 30 days on the road, they've been great, 125, so 25% better than an average team on the road. So they're hitting, and that means Mlodzinski's going to have to be really, really good, right? And the Pirates, they're scoring 2.7 runs a game. They're last in baseball. They are 53 weighted runs created plus. 47% worse than an average team. Well, that's pretty hard to win games that way. And they're 12.8 runs worse than an average team. That's no good. So that's where I think the Mets have the potential. As long as they can hit a little bit in this game, they've got the edge. Their bullpen, even though I told you the Pittsburgh's is pretty good, the Mets is better. So you have a better bullpen from the Mets. You kind of have an even deal at the mound, and certainly a much, much better offense going for the Mets. So the Mets are like plus, I don't know, I think it's 120, whatever it is. It's plus 124 today. So I don't mind the Mets. I thought there was two spots better, so I didn't bet them. But I think it's a good play. I don't think it's a bad play. So, and especially as a dog, right? I mean, that's what we want right now. I'm not the biggest dog player in the world, but I think right now when you're coming down the stretch and you're looking at some of this stuff, it makes sense to do certain things. I think this is one of them. Tampa Bay is a dog today too, but I don't know how they're plus 105. I don't know if that's more coin flip, right? Flip the coin. So I don't know if that's really quote a dog or not. Plus money is plus money. Toronto plays Philadelphia, and I'll just go over this really quick because truth of this game is Philadelphia should whitewash this team tonight. Now, that said, you can't play them. They're minus one. Well, might as well say it's 200. It's minus like 198, something like that. Soriano Jose Soriano is making his first start for Toronto, coming over from the Angels tonight. It's just a bad matchup. Philadelphia is hitting the ball really well. They've got a lot of energy, and look for that. When teams are playing and they got a lot of good energy, Luis Ariz has brought energy to that team, and you're seeing Turner play better, and you're seeing Stott play better, and Bohm. These guys are around him are doing better things, so that makes their team more potentially able to do stuff that they hadn't been doing because they've been boring and just going up there and striking out or hitting home runs. So now you've got a different kind of thought process going on with them. Hey, let's get on base because Ariz is batting fourth. He'll drive us in because he hits the ball every time. He doesn't go up there and strike out. So I like that. But Wheeler's been dominant, like dominant. His run value score is 1.47 today. So that run value score is a combination of XFIP and Sierra. So he's 1.37 XFIP, 1.51 Sierra, 147. Ain't nobody got ones. Their twos are higher, or threes are higher, or in some cases we'll get into today. One of them is 5.72. How about that? So anyhow, not getting into this game any more deeper than this. If you're going to play it, you're going to try to play it on the run line. I'm not going to do that. I just don't think there's a need to go into the run line and play it. The Phillies bullpen's only average right now. It's been decent, but it's not been great. Toronto's bullpen's been pretty good. So if the Phillies were able to just get a couple runs against Toronto and Soriano, and they're ahead 2-0 or something like that, and then Okamoto hits one out because that's what he does. He hits one out, and then all of a sudden it's 2-1, and you're not going to cover the run line. So just be careful on what you're getting into. I do like the Phillies to win the game, but I can't play them at minus 200. The Cincinnati-Washington game, I'm kind of skip through that too, only because I'm reasonably sure that Petty is going to be the pitcher for Cincinnati, and he's no good. The pitcher for Washington is the best one they got. Cavalli is a good pitcher. Now, that all being said, since they made some deals and done stuff and traded some of their hitters and different things, this offense is not the same. Wood is hurt, so he's not playing. Meade's obviously not in there. Garcia is gone. So there's three key cogs of that offense that's been carrying this team all season is not available and not playing for the Nationals. That said, because of that, their offense is at this point, they're 27th out of 30 teams. They're scoring 3.5 runs a game, 67 weighted runs created plus. So they are 33% worse than an average offense. They haven't been that way all season. Not at all. They led the league in scoring for almost all season long. They're not anymore, but almost all season. So this is a total blip for Washington. I can't support Washington, even if it is against Petty, because the Reds are on a little bit of a run. So I just stayed off of that game. The Yankee game, look, Fried is the dominant pitcher in this matchup. The Braves, at least they're going to get its quote real pitcher. This is Molly coming over from San Francisco. He's been an average pitcher. That's what he is. He's an average pitcher. He's not an above average pitcher, and he's not a below average pitcher. He's a guy that will have below average starts. He's also a guy that will have above average starts, which makes him an average pitcher. So that's kind of where he's at. Jeff saying, hey, it's a Fried revenge game. That could be. I mean, obviously the Braves traded him away. He's never pitched against the Braves before. The first time he's ever pitched against the Braves. That doesn't mean that he hasn't pitched against a lot of the guys in the lineup. He has. I was surprised to see that. Because when I do my numbers and stuff, I do look at what the predicted WOBA is for him against the lineup, not necessarily the team. And he has had a reasonable number of at-bats. I was sort of surprised at that. Anyway, he's the dominant pitcher. He's got a run edge of 1.63. So that means the Braves have to overcome 1.5 runs at the start because of the starting pitcher. Well, they do. Let me just explain it to you this way. The hitters and the batters come in, and the Yankees have come up. They're 21st in offense since they got, Garcia and Helio Ramos. And then they brought up George Lombard. They've looked a little bit better. They're still not scoring runs. They're scoring 2.8 runs a game. That's not going to get it done. And the Braves are scoring 6.2 runs a game. That's going to get it done. So the difference here is that the Yankees are 21st in offense. Now, this is an amazing deal. They're 8th in isolated power. So 21st in offense is not good. 8th, top 10, that's pretty good. Well, here's the reality of that. I just said they were 2.8 runs per game. The Yankees have played 5 games in the last 6 days, which is what I look at. They've hit 9 home runs. That's a lot of home runs. You know how many runs they've scored? 14. They've hit 9 home runs and scored 14 runs. So how many guys are getting on base? How many guys are scoring? How many guys are none? That's the problem with the offense. They don't get guys on base. They don't move runners. When they do get guys in scoring position, they don't do anything with them. So that's the deficit you're going to have to try to overcome. And when it comes to runs, they're 3.5 runs worse than an average offense, and the Braves are 9 runs better. So if we said, hey, they got to cover 1.5 runs, well, the offense for the Braves does that. So that's where I stopped. I think the line is a good price. This number was minus 127. Look, that's Fried at minus 127. That's a good number. That's a great number if you want to bet Yankees. Problem that I run into is I don't trust the Yankees on offense. And then secondly, I will tell you this, the Braves bullpen has been better than the Yankees bullpen. Now, the Yankees bullpen's been good most of the season. Right now, they're not as good as they have been. Just give you a tip on that. Number one, the Yankees are allowing. So, I look at home runs per 9 innings for bullpens. It's important not to give up home runs. It's important to keep guys off base, right? So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 teams in the red and bullpens giving up home runs per 9 innings in the last 10 days. And the Yankees are second worst. 2.2 home runs per 9 innings allowed by the bullpen in the last 10 days. What do the Braves do? They hit home runs. The Braves, the Braves have hit 10 home runs in the last 5 days. But here's a big difference: they've scored 31 runs. That's a big deal, right? The Yankees have 9 home runs, scored 14 runs, half. That's so I can't dive in on this game. If you bet Freed, I get it. It's a good number, but I think they're going, God, I hope they hit. Because when you look at the Braves, I know they're going to hit. Now, I don't know if they're going to hit Freed very well, but maybe they wear him out and they get him out of the game. And then all of a sudden, here comes the bullpen and, they give up whatever. So I'm not going there. I do like TOLLE today. I can't find a way to play it. I'm not playing the -1.5. I'm not playing, -1, that stuff. I think they can cover that. But at the same time, what's their motivation to beat the snot out of the A's? And I will say this: it wasn't too long ago these teams just met, maybe 10 days ago, and they met in Sacramento, and Boston won 2 out of 3, and Peyton Tolley pitched against them, and the game was 4-2. So my thought is they've seen him, they know what he has, and Perkins only gave up 4 runs against the Red Sox. So I didn't like all that to want to go cover 1.5, even though what I said before, Boston's number 2 in offense, the best bullpen, all that stuff. I just don't feel like it's the right spot, because you got to have 2 things. Your pitcher has to hold the opponent to 1 or 2 runs. He's proved he can do it, so it's possible that he can do that. But you also have to have the motivation on offense to score a bunch of runs, at least 4 or 5 or 6, right? So that you can cover that number. And, maybe they'll get there. But if they don't get there, they don't care. They just want to win. So I'm just going to leave it alone at this point. I don't mind it if you bet it. I don't think it's a terrible spot to bet it. But keep in mind, -1.5 is still -120, 130, something like that. And that's why I said I'm not going to do that. The next game is, I'm not going to spend much time on this one. This is the Angels and the Marlins. Look, the Angels are one of the worst teams in baseball. The A's, in my power ratings, are worse than the Angels. Okay, this is Klassen who's pitching for the Angels now, and I know you guys won't remember, but back in April he started 2 games for the Angels. He didn't do very well, and now they're pulling him back up. And this is what you're going to see at this time of year. You're going to see teams go, well, what do we have? Klassen, let's bring him back and see what do we have. And he might pitch the rest of the season for the Angels. And they got rid of Soriano, so they need a spot. So maybe he takes his spot, and we want to see what he can do. Okay, well, we're gonna see, right? And in Miami, they're trying to make the playoffs. I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. They're trying. They're in a spot where, okay, we can play the Angels. Maybe they can win 2 out of 3, or maybe sweep the Angels, and we'll see what that kind of looks like. But Phillips isn't the guy. He's a good home pitcher, but he's not a good pitcher. So I was like, I'm out. This is like -150, something like that. That's too high. But I get it. It's the Angels. They're not very good. And their offense for the Angels, by the way, the offense for the Angels, we talked about Pittsburgh being the worst, and we talked about the Yankees not doing good. Toronto's 29th in offense. The Angels are 28th. That's terrible. So, maybe they can, maybe they don't have much fight and they don't play well. I don't know what it's going to look like. So I'm interested in this game, Cleveland and the White Sox. Look, Messick's been really good. He's the best pitcher that Cleveland has, and I know Williams is a big strikeout guy and he has big stuff. But when it comes to actually performing and getting your team in the game and getting the outs when you need them, it's Messick who does that. Williams will give up because he throws, and if they hit it, they got to hit it. So Messick's really good, and they're facing the White Sox and Schultz. Noah Schultz is not very good. He's more average or less than average. He's a game score of 46 on the season, so that's less than average. And Messick's a 59, so that's one number from being 60, which is what aces are. So, and he's a 61 over his last 7 days. He's got a big RE24 score advantage. So, yes, this is a spot if you like Cleveland, and there's no reason not to in this game. Cleveland is also scoring 5.2 runs a game. They rank ninth in offense, and Chicago hasn't been hitting for a little bit now, more than just 6 days. It's more like 2 weeks. They are 25th in offense. They're 21st in isolated power. So I think you have a dominant starting pitching edge. I also think you have a offensive edge. And I'm not going to tell you that you got a dominant bullpen edge because the White Sox bullpen's been decent, but I do think Cleveland's bullpen's better. So when you look at this game and you go, hey, Cleveland's minus 134 on the road, it's a game they got to win. It just got to be priced right. And I'm like, my number was 140 or 144. So it's not that far off. And I'm like, let's see if there's other value out there before I bet it. So I didn't bet this game, but I can see Cleveland winning this game. I don't like Cleveland on the road as much as I like them at home. That's another problem that I have. Now, this game here is Minnesota, Milwaukee. I don't think we need to spend a whole lot of time here either. The number's out of control. I shouldn't say out of control. The number is Milwaukee's minus like 175. That's a pretty big number, especially for Drohan, who's like the third or fourth best pitcher on that team. And now I sit there and go, well, who's pitching for Minnesota, and does it really matter? Well, Zebby Matthews is pitching for Minnesota. I had Prelip in there last night, so I had to fix that this morning. It doesn't matter. The Twins are good, but they're not that good. It's a home game for Milwaukee. I'm not going to go play the minus 1.5. I'm not going to do all that stuff because Milwaukee's not hitting. Milwaukee's offense right now is 3.2 runs a game. Minnesota's 3.2 runs a game. My rule is if they don't score 3.5 runs or more, I don't bet them. And Milwaukee is 23rd in offense, and the Twins are 20th. So they're kind of even in offense, but you got a better pitcher certainly that is going for Milwaukee, and Zebby Matthews off a good start. So don't expect him to have another good one. So I just don't want to play the minus 1.5. I'm certainly not playing minus 175. So I skipped in that one. And here's another one. This is Gausman in Chicago making his debut with Chicago. And this is a weird situation in my mind. Kevin Gausman's a veteran pitcher. He's pitched on several teams, not just one or two, several. And he's coming off of pitching for Toronto, and he's all heartbroken. Like heartbroken that he doesn't get to pitch in Toronto anymore, and his wife liked Toronto and all this stuff and all these things you hear. I don't like that. I don't want to support a pitcher who's heartbroken and not in it pitching for Chicago. And Chicago is going to be facing the Kansas City Royals today, and it's going to be a bullpen day. I think Lynch is starting for them. They made a deal, or I don't know what they did. They have a guy named Eaton who I have as listed as the bulk pitcher, but he's not going to be a bulk pitcher that goes like 5 innings. He's a bulk pitcher that's like another relief guy. So this is bullpen day for me for Kansas City, and quote, their bullpen's not any good. So I can't sit here and go, I don't care what Gausman does. They're, the Chicago Cubs are hitting, and they're going to hit these pitchers. Well, probably will. Kansas City's bullpen's not the greatest. Kansas City's about average on offense right now. Bobby Witt's back, and he's there driving their offense. He's their number one hitter. But I'm just going to leave it alone. I don't want to get involved in a pitcher that he needs to get, man up. Man up, dude. So anyway, here's a game I did bet. And I bet it on the run line, actually. So this is, and I want to get into this just a little bit, not deep, but a little bit. This is Colorado against St. Louis. This is Feltner against Leahy. Now, the reason I want to bet it is because Leahy is a surprise guy. He made a pitching adjustment about 8 weeks ago. I shouldn't say 8 weeks ago, about 8 to 9 starts ago, he's made an adjustment. In that adjustment that he's made, in those last 8 or so starts, he has allowed more than one run once. And it was 3. Let me pull it up. I got it right here. It's right there. There it is. So I'm sorry, twice. He gave up 2 runs once. So he gave up 1 run, 2 runs, 1 run, 0, 0, 1, 0, and 3, and that's when it started. His last 7 starts, which is what I tend to look at in terms of game score and get sort of a flexibility of what they're doing. He is a game score 62, I believe, if I go there. Game score 62.4. That's what aces do. His run value score is 3.06. It's pretty good. I mean, he's a 2.90 xFIP, 3.13 Sierra guy. He's walking hardly anybody, 2.6 walks a game. And his home run rate is average, but his batting average against is 211. His whip rate is 0.86. But the best part is he's 53% ground ball guy. So guys aren't hitting for damage. I love this spot. And then not only that, he's a 6.39 RE24 score. I don't know 6.39. Yeah, it's the highest one on the day today. So he's not going to allow those big innings. That's what it means. He's just not going to get blown up. He's not going to allow the big innings. Now, Feltner on the other side is god awful. He is the worst pitcher on the board today. He's a pummel candidate pitcher. He's the worst one. He's a 5.72 run value score. He's a bad strikeout guy, 14%. 14% is the lowest one on the board today, and he's an 11% strike walk guy. So he almost walks as many as he strikes out. So he's putting guys on base, and they're hitting it, right? So balls in play, advantage goes to St. Louis. Feltner gives up 4 home runs per 9 innings. That's not very good. You're not going to win a lot of games if you give up 4 home runs per 9 innings. And then you go look at his whip rate. Well, we just said he's not doing very good. It's 2.26 guys on base every inning. So talk about pressure. That guy's got 2 guys on base every inning, and he's got to try to keep them from scoring. I love St. Louis in this spot. And he's a negative, the worst RE24 score of the day, minus 1189. That's not good. That means he can allow 4 and 5 runs, big innings at any point in time, and I expect him to do so again today. So I liked that. I think hitters and batters wise, St. Louis hasn't been doing well, but they're now hitting better. They're scoring 4.5 runs a game, 113 weighted runs created plus. So they're 13% better than an average offense. So that's pretty good. Colorado's been hitting too, but I think you're going to see Leahy shut that down and get the outs that are necessary. So I like that. I don't like the price. The price was minus 160. My number on the game was more like 190. So I'm like, okay, let's look at this a little deeper. I don't mind the run line value. You can bet where did it go? Here it is. You can bet St. Louis minus 1.5 plus 129. Well, that's plus money bet, and you got a great pitcher that nobody knows about, and a terrible pitcher. So that's kind of where I went with this game. I was like, I think that they can do this. I think it's at home, right? They just came off feeling their oats a little bit against the Yankees. So I like it. I think Colorado struggles on the road. They're not very good. If I look it up, hitters and batters, where's Colorado on the road? Colorado on the road is 67 weighted runs created plus. 33% worse than an average team. That's not good. So I like the fact that this all sets up for St. Louis to score and to have Colorado not. So I like it. So anyway, that's what I bet. I bet that game. This Texas and Baltimore game, I think is I have troubles with Eovaldi. Anytime I support Eovaldi, he goes out and gives up 5 home runs, and when I don't support him, he goes 8 innings and strikes out 10 guys. Tonight, he's facing Baltimore. Baz has been good, not great, but at the same time, I say good, not great. He's the best pitcher that they have, and I know Rogers has pitched pretty well, and I also know the other guys pitched pretty decent for Baltimore. Bradish, But projected WAR numbers, Baz is the best that they have. I don't like the matchup, and I don't like the matchup because Baltimore can't hit. And I read something yesterday. Henderson, the shortstop that I got, that I want to build this whole team around. He don't want to play for him no more. So look, if he's not wanting to play for him, they're not going to be all in on this stuff. I mean, I think the only guy, to me, the only guy who wants to play on that team is Pete Alonso, and they just got him. So I'm like, I'm out, right? And the bullpen for Baltimore is not good enough. And Texas, I don't know what to make of Texas. I think Evaldi could get hit. So I'm like, I'm not betting this game. Where is it? Sasaki and Kelly. I can't bet on Kelly, even though the Dodgers have lost, 6 in a row. And I'm not going to go bet on Sasaki either, just because he can go out and strike out 20 or he could go out and walk 15. So I'm going to leave him alone. Blanc, here was a spot that I was trying to figure out what to do. This is Houston and San Francisco. No, Houston. I say San Francisco because Robbie raised this. Houston and San Diego. And obviously, my opinion, shouldn't say my opinion, data shows Robbie raised the better pitcher tonight. And it's not even close. Blanco has only made like 4 starts. In his 4 starts, his projected WAR negative minus 0.1. That's not good. That means you can call up any AAA guy and he's better than Blanco. So that's what that means. But here's the problem. Houston's offense has 7 guys, 7 offensive players at 1 WAR or better, and has 0 at -1 or better. So their offense is clicking and it's deep. And I'm like, well, that's not good news for Robbie Ray because he can get hit. So I'm like, this might be a big scoring game. So I'm going to leave this one alone. Rasmussen and Gilbert is another spot where I would tell you that the Rays are a good underdog to bet. Now, I don't know that the price is wrong or anything like that. Like we're talking about the Mets, I think that this is a good spot for the Rays. Seattle can't hit. They don't score a lot of runs. Obviously, the Rays don't score a lot of runs, but Caminero is leading the way for them on offense. Their bullpen is good, and I think that this is a particular spot where they battle in these 1-run, 2-run, 3-run kind of games and win. So I didn't get involved in it, and the reason I didn't get involved in it because I do think it's more or less a coin flip, but I do think it's shaded towards the Rays. I think the Rays should be favored maybe by like -110, and you're getting plus 105 or 110. So I think that that's a value there. The last game that I did bet, I bet Detroit tonight. Montero becomes by default one of the best pitchers, if not the best pitcher. Melton's really good for them too, but the best pitcher that Detroit has. And they're going to face the Giants, and the Giants just don't win games. And the Giants, I know it doesn't say who their pitcher is, but it's Hauser today. Hauser is getting reinstalled into the rotation. Hauser's not the worst pitcher in the world, but he's certainly not the best pitcher in the world. He's a game score of 42 on the season. He's been pitching in long relief as he got knocked out of the rotation there, and now they're going to put him back in. And I just think that Detroit, number 1 offense, that's what Boston's got to do. Knock them out of the number 1 offense. I'm just kidding. Detroit is scoring 8 runs a game. I don't know if you knew that, but they're scoring 8 runs a game. They are 160, so they're 60% better than average offense. They are scoring, or they're 14 runs better than an average offense. They have net 7 guys in the positive WAR and only 1 guy pulling away. So that means they got 8. They got 8 guys. And the Giants are the Giants. They just lose all the time. So they got 5 guys offensively pulling away. I like Montero to pitch pretty well. I think that they're going to get to Hauser, and I think that this is a game. It's only -125. That's what I paid anyway. Oh, I'm sorry, 127 is what I paid. I think Detroit's the right spot. So I made 2 bets. I bet St. Louis on the run line, and I bet Detroit tonight.
Again, shout out to PB. Shout out to Timothy. Shout out to Jason Berry. Shout out to Newbie. Buck Skull Gang in the house. Of course, shout out to the other cast of
Hey,
characters. Oh,
look,
look at
rocket sauce.
Never late, never late. Shout out to Rocket Sauce. Shout out to Dr. Lance, Mr. Lucky. Another week in the books, no pun intended. Again, guys, the first Hall of Fame, the NFL kickoff. Everyone that moved the numbers to the under were ripping up their ticket by halftime. Great game. Buzzer beater walk off by Carolina there. But again, NFL preseason is amongst us. As me and Scotty keep moving the chains, another no pun intended, in the baseball lanes, we will be switching off as we get closer to week 0, week 1 and stuff. We'll still be doing a baseball show a couple times a week, but we will also be doing football shows. I don't want Scotty to do double duty. As Rocket Sauce says, I will be rewinding, and PB says, have a great weekend. Look to our timelines on Monday. We'll have the week schedule out there. I'll talk to Scotty after the show about next week. Another week. Let's hope, and again, the first weekend, when you start assuming wins in any sport, that's when it usually gets a little tough. You start reading your clippings. You start, it's the A's in town. The bullpen was taxed last night. The emotions couldn't be larger. Now here come the lowly A's, and next thing you know, you lose 2 out of 3 to the A's, and you're like, shit, we just gave a game or 2 back, and we've lost all that momentum. Red Sox desperately need Tolle to get them into that 5th, 6th, 7th inning today. It would be great to see a nice, 12-pitch inning, the first couple, so we can, save on the bullpen here. But it's been a great run. Hopefully this weekend we'll keep it going. Everyone that hasn't, head on over to X at Webby20 MLB. Follow Scotty, and then click the link. Join the Substack. You want to make sure, of course, you're getting all his emails there. As Rocket Sauce says, took the Tigers and Red Sox last night. Way to go, boss. Never in doubt, Rocket Sauce. Never in doubt. Jeez. We wanted to give him a little false sense of security. So the game of the year, it was definitely the game of the year there. So for myself, Jeff Dawson, a DC Sports Investor, one and only, Mr. Scotty Webb at Webby20LB. Shout out to Mr. Kenny Magner. Thank you for keeping the streak alive. Glad you enjoyed the sausage guy. And we keep winning. So hopefully you guys do too. And see you next week. Stay tuned.